Hello again. I got another tutorial from Apple Motion. This one I want to cover is the link behaviors that you can put onto one or more layers or shapes, that is. What I have here is a project already set up, and I'll go through it slowly. Hopefully it can shed some light on how the link behavior responds in a project. So firstly, I've got these three different sections here. The source knob is what I will be using to start as the control. As you see, as I move this up and down, it's operating the behaviors in two other shapes. So firstly, with this source knob is basically just, it's a panel with some lines thrown in here, and I've locked it so it can't be moved around or anything. And then separately, in a separate layer, I've got this source knob here so that I can actually move this around freely. Firstly, I started off with, when you're doing this sort of thing, I like to be able to keep this, as you see, even though I'm moving to the side, it's staying on the y-axis, so that prevents it from drifting off or anything, so it looks a bit neater. That's the clamp. When I open up the clamp, which is here, I won't go into too much, but just know that this sort of thing can basically clamp whatever parameter you throw in there. It conforms it to whatever you set here. So I've got minimum and maximum set up there, so it covers two sides on the x-axis. So I've done down here is I've applied it to properties transform position x. You can change that around for your own needs. So because this source knob is, its position is minus 740, I've just typed these in to keep it on the one plane. So very simple, and it can be quite handy using in a number of applications. The other thing I thought would be cool is, as you notice, as I move this up, it sort of steps. So that's the quantize function. When I built this little project, I started with basically the source knob, and then I dragged everything in to match up to this action. So I've quantized this movement at 40 pixels. You can offset them, things like that, but I've applied properties transform position y, so it's stepping up the y and down the y-axis 40 pixels apart. So because I had this movement placed in there, then I can move these other units to sort of match up with where it landed. So, and if you notice the text down here, this sort of breaks it down a little bit for you, so that you have some guide as to what's going on. So the next one here is, I've named it circle, all capital letters. Now this one is in the group I call hex circle. Sometimes it's just good to have a descriptive name. So as you see, that's all closed up, and so you know where you're working. But this is just the circle that's here. If I click on it, it highlights that. So this is where what we will call the source knob, which is here. Click on this circle and choose a property which you want to affect. So you can see the little gears showing that it is affected by some sort of a behavior. So you can work out pretty quickly where it is. So what I've done is I've clicked on this. I went over here because I wanted the Z rotation to happen, and so I've just gone down here, and it's already got link on there. It's showing it's got the link on there. But if you want to add or if you want to, say, do one that doesn't have it, you just click on the little down arrow. This is where you reset the parameters, and you can do a few things. And then you come down here, add parameter behavior, and you can choose all these things. There's the clamp, link is here, there's quantize, so a number of all these things, and it's a good idea just to play around and see what everything does. Some things are pretty obvious, but we've just chosen this link here, and we've clicked it, and we put it on the Z rotation. As I animated the source knob, I've just put a bit of an animation so that it's, now let's play it through. I put the little lines in here to direct you to where the things are. But as you see, it's moving in its quantized way. It stays on the line. You can do that with just keyframing the y-axis, but when you are using this to move it around, the clamp feature is really good. As it drops onto a particular color, I've got the link so that it's rotating around to the appropriate color, and I will get to this in a minute. I'll just show you how this link is now. As I click on the link, I've chosen the source knob as the source, and so you just basically grab whatever you want to do as a source, and then you just drag it up and drop it into this well here. That's what I've already done there, so I won't do it again, but then it comes up as which shape that you've chosen as a source. And then we go down here and we choose the parameters. So here I've chosen properties, transform, which you basically get at here, properties, transform, position, and then I chose Y. So that's all up and chosen as well there. And then this is applying to the shape that I put the link on in the first place, the circle. So now I'm applying whatever happens in the position Y here gets transformed over to the rotation Z of this circle. So I got the anchor point set to the center, so when you do a rotation it rotates around there, and I've got the rotation being triggered by the position of the Y, and I've just worked it out so that these colors match up, so when you're on yellow it just sort of goes around to that. And so that's how that link works. When you come down to the link, you have a mode that you can use for applying. This case we want to replace with the source, which is the source knob parameters. Sometimes you will use multiply, sometimes you will use add, depending on the situation. I won't go into that, but I just encourage you to get a couple different projects and apply them and see how they go. So this whole video is just to get you started. I don't want to go too much into how it all works. It just gives you a layout so that you know which is the link, which is the source. It gives you a chance to just set it up so that you can then do your experimentation. I spent a few hours trying to find out about all this through Apple Motion's help, and I didn't find many videos on YouTube about it. I did my work. I finally came up with a system that seems to work nice, so I thought I'd do a video to share it with you. So if you have any comments pertaining to this or any suggestions on how to add to this, feel free to comment so other people can read it. So I'll just get back to this final couple of things. Down here, to get this rotation right so that the rotation matches exactly to these points, I chose a custom mix here. You can look at this mix over time. You see that there's a few things you can do, ease in, ease out, decelerate, that sort of thing for various uses. I just chose custom so that it keeps it all uniform in this case. And then the mix, you have to play around with the slider a little bit. Sometimes this advances the rotation or takes it back a bit, and the scale also plays around with the rotation. And I found this combination here works really well so that the action is being tuned. So as you change this, it rotates it to the exact point you need. So that sometimes requires some fine tuning in this area here. I won't go into much more on this because this is more advanced and I haven't really gone that far into it. So I'll leave that, but again, it's just a good idea to first know which is the source and which is the target, which has the link and which supplies the parameters, that sort of thing. So you can get it up and running and working, and then jump in and experiment around. So now what I've done is I've just thrown one more on here, this target circle, this circle 1, just to drive home the point. This has got a link to the circle, and the source, well, I'll just go on it so you can show you. So I've got this circle 1 has got the link, and its source, I've just dragged the circle into that well to make that the source. So the rotation Z of the source parameter is supplying the information for this last animation. So as you see, as this goes around, and I've got this set up so that there's a white circle. I've got it set up to blend mode, set to subtract, so that as the white circle passes over top of the color, it turns it to black. So little thing to do there. So, and this is basically got, it's both of the apply property is rotation Z, and the source is rotation Z. I've got replace with source again, custom mix, and here I've just got 1 and 1 so that it just follows through there. I know this is just for demonstration purposes so that you can see how it's laid out. There are a few things, like I've got the panel here, which I've got in the lock position so it can't be moved around inadvertently, but basically I've got here in this panel. So as you see, I've got different colors involved on these. So I've just created a complex shape with a rectangle background and a white border, and there's a line up the middle just to indicate that it's some sort of a control panel. So we got this panel that's locked in the background, got the source knob on top, so it can be sort of separate from everything else. It's got its own group there. And the same with the circle. The circle is separate of the hex circle, and we got the hex panel here, which is separate. And then we got this top one here, which is just a few random shapes. That's it pretty much. I think I've covered everything. The main thing to remember, just, aside from being patient with this, when I first worked this all out, I pretty much had to do it on the fly because it was just, like I said, not a lot of information out there. There's a lot of great tutorials on everything, but I've only seen a couple, and they were very complex and moved along quickly. So I wanted to provide something to get you to the point of the videos that are already out there. So just a basic layout. So feel free to pause it and take a screenshot if it helps, but just know that how you arrange the layers has a big difference, and how anything that moves has to be on its own layer so that it doesn't interfere with the parameters of the overall group. Just enjoy that, and hopefully it helped shed some light on how this all works, and for the added bonus of the quantize and the clamp behavior as well. I'm slowly going through a lot of the behaviors, but as I'm learning Apple Motion, I like to do it the grassroots way of just creating everything from scratch, including all the animations, because I think it's just a bit better to understand how that all is. Understanding that when you go into, say, the keyframes, for example, you do understand how the animation all works as well. So there's I think it's better just to experiment around with things, that rather than just grab a ready-made action of some sort, whether it's a filter, behavior, or a generator. It's always best when you're learning to try to create these from scratch. So anyway, I'll leave it there. I didn't want to go on too much on this. Hopefully it helps out a bit getting you started using not only the link behavior, but just behaviors in general. There is one more that's not on here, which is called custom, which you can create your own. You can access the behaviors from up here as well, same sort of thing, and there's just quite a bit more to choose from. Or you can go to the library and look at behaviors here, and then you can choose a subcategory. Parameter is usually where you'll find what we've been working on. And like I said, everything barring custom, so there's an empty one there which you can create your own behaviors as well. And that goes the same with the filters and the generators, so particle emitters and replicators, all that. So there's a lot to digest in this program, and for the money it's pretty good value. I do find that I come from After Effects, and I find that there's definitely different ways of doing things with the two programs, and also the price is a big difference there as well, but I won't go into that. So you get what you pay for, and but this gives you enough to really get an idea how all the basics work in animation with keyframing and the animation and that sort of thing. So I'll leave you with it, and hopefully you found some useful tips out of all this. I do have a few other videos on other things too, so and I will most likely be working on another project in the near future. Thanks for watching, and take care.